Hello everyone. The Green Party have held their annual conference. Yesterday at a plush hotel in West Dublin, the Green Party held their annual conference and they were addressed by their leader Roderic O'Gorman. Now, this is following the election results where they were completely decimated, well, more or less. They only returned one TD from 12 that they started with, and now they've only currently 23 councillors. But O'Gorman is completely deluded from his time in government. O'Gorman said yesterday during this conference that they would return to government at some stage in the future, and he said the Green Party had a very successful period in government. But perhaps O'Gorman isn't on the same planet as the rest of us who have been impacted by the Green Party policies over the last 4 to 5 years as part of the coalition government with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. Now, he said he's going to be a complete thorn in the side of the opposition in the next Dáil. O'Gorman really deluded, and he also said that he will hold the government to account and ask questions the government don't want to be asked. Isn't that interesting? Sure, wasn't he a minister for the last 4 years as Minister for Equality, Children, Disabilities and Disintegration? But of course he's done enough damage in his role as in that ministry to last a lifetime for the vast majority of people of Ireland. So it's complete and utter nonsense from O'Gorman. Now, in 2011, the Green Party were wiped out following their period in time with the financial crash and their alliances with the Fianna Fáil-led government by Bertie Ahern, most notably another corrupt politician. Now, what's also very important is that he said that they will put the national interest first. What national interest? They've no interest in the national interest. They've more interest in bowing down to their masters in Brussels and Davos. And he also said that they have to stop being more aggressive and stop being as nice to the opposition parties. And that actually came from Roisin Garvey, the deputy leader of the Green Party as well, and said that they stand on the right side of history. Now let's drill a little bit into the Green Party's part in government over the past 4 years. First of all, we'll just talk about the referendum and specifically about Roderic O'Gorman's involvement with this. Of course, those amendments to the Constitution that was going to take Mother from the Constitution, that was held a day before Mother's Day, surprisingly. And of course, he had funded, and his government departments, and many government departments had funded many NGOs that had pushed this yes vote. Now, thankfully, the vast majority of people in Ireland, overwhelming majority of people in Ireland, voted against those nonsensical referendums that would have far-reaching consequences, including immigration law also as well. Surprise, surprise, Roderic O'Gorman. Now, this had serious ramifications in terms of the McKenna judgment that took place a number of years ago, in terms of involving outside government organisations and agencies to influence the election and to push the government's narrative to change the Constitution. But of course, this won't be mentioned by the current mainstream media. Nobody will hold these people to account that O'Gorman is claiming to hold to account, which is complete and utter nonsense. Now, also, what's very important with this is the National Women's Council, another NGO, or government organisation as I'd rather call them. 96% of their salaries are funded through the state departments or through the HSE. Surprise, surprise. Let's push the government's narrative every single day of the week with these government organisations. And let's go through his participation in childcare. Of course, a lot of files went missing. Not to mention, files were deleted according to GDPR reasons on very serious cases involving children. And what about the missing children in the context of the Tusla scandal that has erupted over the past number of years? 317 missing children, but O'Gorman won't mention this whatsoever. And what about the children that have ended up in prostitution, in sexual abuse cases and so forth as well? Absolute silence by Roderic O'Gorman on this. So that was his role as Minister for Children. And not to mention child homelessness is through the roof as well, all at O'Gorman's watch. Now, let's go on to immigration. The Minister for Disintegration himself spending over €5 million a day on the international protection system. Up to €2 billion this year will be spent on the international protection system, all under O'Gorman's watch. And this, he said, 18,000 to 20,000 is the new normal for people claiming international protection. Of course, cheap labour for the big employers. And he famously said that they would end direct provision. That was part of their programme for government agreement with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael back in 2020. And now we've seen direct provision go to out of control, completely and utterly out of control. And not to mention his tweet in 8 languages that he dismissed and said he didn't tweet 8 languages to invite people to Ireland in terms of own-door accommodation. And not to mention no integration in communities, no communication, no consultation with communities. This is O'Gorman and his authoritarian top-down style that has been followed suit from Eamon Ryan, his predecessor, who also said that authoritarianism was a good system. And of course, his heavy-handed approach to immigration in terms of dealing with the protesters and the water cannons and so forth as well. Of course, he won't mention that. He's going to hold the government to account. The hate speech legislation. Need I go on? This programme for government, again, was a complete and utter con job where Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil and the Green Party presided over catastrophic damage to our society. So let's go on to include other economic issues, such as the carbon tax. Let's mention the carbon tax that crucified working class people, small businesses, and people whose livelihood depends on getting from A to B. Not to mention the cost of living disaster, which helped create that and worsen it through the higher prices from goods going to shops as well, including the dramatic, huge profiteering that's taken place. And of course, the deposit retention scheme, let's go on about that as well, with the plastic bottles. We all know about that scam. And Irish neutrality. You've seen them completely abdicate any Irish neutrality or any principled stance on Irish neutrality by bowing down and getting involved with NATO through the Partnership for Peace, which is a bit of a nonsense again. And we've had this nonsense really continue at pace. And not to mention the economic issues that he said was part of the programme for government. We've seen more businesses close in the past year than we've seen in about a generation, at least, of ever. So this is the legacy of Roderic O'Gorman, and now they're trying to create and build a new image and build up a base that it's going to be, in a number of years, they're going to go back into the revolving door of power and think they can sidle up to Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael in the future. How much of this nonsense can people really fall for? O'Gorman should have no hand, act or part or place, neither should the Green Party in any part of Irish political life, because they've done so much damage by being able lapdogs over 10 to 15 years ago for Fianna Fáil, who helped crash the economy, and now arrived back into power over the last 4 years, despite their claims in the programme for government, which have completely and utterly failed. But of course, they're more interested in supporting the globalists, the big corporations, the billionaires, and the very wealthy in society, and crucifying the existence out of working class people with their corporate green agenda. While Eamon Ryan was traverse the globe and go off on his private jets to Brazil to meet the environmental minister on St. Patrick's Day, or to COP28 and pontificate and point the finger at ordinary working class people and blame them rather than look at the big corporations. But of course, this is what the Green Party represent. They're part of the establishment. So thanks for the support, and please press subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take care. Slán.